James Maddison to Newcastle United is very much on. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. We're going to be talking about James Maddison today. James Maddison, the Leicester playmaker, is seemingly on the move this summer. He will be leaving Leicester. The reports are that he's desperate to get back into the Premier League, and he does have a couple of options available to him. But over the weekend, the developments have been that there has been one standout club in particular that are not only prepared to see personal terms as no issue, but also to pay the fee that Leicester are looking for with this player. Let's say we're going to be talking about James Maddison in this video, talking about Leicester, talking about the team in question. And I also want to talk a little bit about Tottenham as well. Tottenham going forward, there are a couple of developments there with Tottenham themselves and Tottenham's interest in goalkeeper David Raya that I want to talk about. And I also want to talk about Liverpool as well and their pursuit of a centre-back with a couple of options seemingly out there. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the live stream, drop a comment, get involved in the comment section, because we'll also talk about anything that you guys want to talk about as well. If you obviously want to get involved in that, so that'd be great as well, as Balam has here. Welcome back, my dude. Nice to see you on this very bright and sunny Monday morning. Give a wave. Yeah, I think he will leave. He will play better because money and a Euro year in Germany. Hello, Leicester will need to sell some players ASAP, and Leicester have 8 players leaving, I heard. Once again, morning, my dude. I hope you're all good, and I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, I think a player of his quality as well is rightfully leaving. So I think a player of his quality was always going to leave, and there was always going to be a lot of interest in the Premier League for him to get back. And we'll talk more about that as we go on into the video. And, you know, Leicester, there needs to be a bit of a clear out at Leicester. I've said for time that their squad has gone a bit stale, has gone a bit predictable, shall we say. And it's one of the many reasons as to why they got relegated this season. And one of the reasons why obviously Brendan Rodgers found it difficult towards the end of his time there, obviously going from the highs of winning the Premier League with obviously Claudio Ranieri to Brendan Rodgers, who won them the FA Cup, but then obviously since then continued to go on a downward spiral. But yeah, do drop a like on the video, do subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And as Balam is here, please do get involved in the comment section, whether it's anything that I'm talking about in this video or whether it's in regards to anything that that's breaking or any other kind of talking topic that you want to talk about. Do get involved. It will make for very intriguing debate, very intriguing talking points. How close are you in Notts County? I keep an eye on them, obviously being my local team, being from Nottingham. As much as Nottingham Forest are. So, you know, obviously my main team is Liverpool, always has been, always will be. But I do keep an eye on them, obviously, being from Nottingham. So I'm very happy for them that they've got back into the Football League, rightfully so. Obviously, a club with a lot of history, the oldest club in the world. So very happy for them to get back. James Maddison to Liverpool, yes or no? No, I think because he supports Manchester United, Newcastle are the bigger club than them, and he'll be happy at Newcastle here. I'm assuming you're talking about Newcastle being the bigger club in regards to between them and Leicester, right? I would love him at Liverpool, but that doesn't appear to be going that way, unfortunately. No, he won't go to Saudi Arabia. He's too much in his prime, and he's got too much left to prove and too much left to win, I guess you'd say, than for him to go to Saudi Arabia right now. Yes, everybody is going to Saudi Arabia for that kind of payday, I guess you'd say, at the end of their career. Karim Benzema is obviously gone. Ronaldo's already gone. Kante's gone. Riyad Mahrez appears to be next. Who was I reading about today that might be going? There's someone else. I can't remember who it was. But there was someone else from the Premier League who was being strongly linked with a move that way, and I can't remember for the life of me who I saw. Newcastle have nice kits next season. Do they are a team, see how well they do in UCL. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how they'll do in the Champions League. I'm very intrigued with Newcastle as a whole, not just in terms of the Champions League next season, but in terms of this whole massive project that they've got going on right now. Champions League night is at St James's Park. It's going to be loud. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be hostile for anybody that's going to be walking into that cauldron of fire, shall we say. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by that. Very, very intrigued by Newcastle next season, Newcastle as a whole, and how Newcastle continue to grow as a project under Eddie Howe, under his ownership, because as I keep mentioning, we're just scratching the surface with this Newcastle project, and they're already doing so amazingly well that they've already obtained Champions League football. And they're going to continue to grow from here. It's completely astonishing, really, how well they're doing. But let's talk about Maddison. I'll get back to the comments in a little while. Maddison, for me, to Newcastle, because they're the team in question that are being talked about and have gone ahead in the race, is a fantastic signing. When we talk about Maddison in the past, we talk about a player who is creative, who is strong, who is intelligent, positional wise. He's intelligent, got a lot of good football intelligence, creative, attacking, scores good goals, good from set pieces. This is a quality player. And the only thing I'm a little bit baffled by is the fact that there's not a lot of teams, or at least not more teams seemingly interested. Obviously, across the weekend, we were hearing about a little bit of like a tug of war, so to speak, between Tottenham and Newcastle in regards to trying to sign him. And it seems that Newcastle have gone ahead in the race. Apparently, personal terms will be no issue. And Newcastle are prepared more to pay the fee that Leicester want, which, according to some reports, is between the region of £45 million and £55 million, which for me is completely worth it. I think if you're seeing some of the prices that some players are going for these days, Maddison, who is a very big creative live wire, who is often talked about in the same bracket of the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne as being one of the main creative startlets of the Premier League. Normally, when you see James Maddison's stats, it's normally only Kevin De Bruyne, only Trent Alexander-Arnold, only Bruno Fernandes have created more opportunities and clear-cut chances than him. In some cases, he obviously fits that bill, and I think he would be perfect for the majority of Premier League teams out there in terms of bringing that aspect to the table. So I am a little bit surprised that it's only these two teams that are seemingly going in for him. But at the same time, it's a beautiful and massive opportunity for Newcastle. What we've heard from the Tottenham camp is that allegedly they are trying to haggle a little bit, which is complete textbook Daniel Levy, haggle a little bit of money here and there. They're not prepared seemingly to pay the fee that Newcastle are, which means that Newcastle have moved ahead of them in the race, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's over. Although it probably is, because I think out of the two projects right now, you'd go to the more ambitious one. You'd go to the one that is looking the more exciting and the more intriguing, which of course is Newcastle United over Tottenham, because obviously there's a lot of money to be played around with Newcastle. There's a lot more potential. There's a lot more of a higher ceiling, shall we say. And of course, they have the pull right now of Champions League football, which of course Maddison would love to be in for the first time. And I think with obviously how Leicester's gone for him, you look back across this season, he's been a bright light in an otherwise dark season for the Foxes. It's not been great for Leicester. Like I say, I think over the years their squad has gone stale, but Maddison has continued to be head and shoulders above the rest. And what you're seeing from Maddison is continuously produce numbers. He's constantly close to getting double figures in terms of both goals and assists. You look at this season, 30 appearances in the Premier League, 10 goals, 9 assists. It's not bad for a side that obviously was very poor for the large majority of it. But then you imagine those kinds of stats in a club that is going to have arguably a better manager, like I say, a better squad, a better squad as a whole, a better working squad that is more united and more on the same page as each other. Maddison slots into that midfield. And not only then can you talk about adding depth to that Newcastle side, but you've got to also add about talking about adding extra quality to that side, which of course is what Newcastle need to do going forward, because they need to build on the bones of this squad that they currently have. Remember, next season, they're going to be in the Champions League. They're going to have extra games. They're going to have more games to obviously contend with. And their squad is, I wouldn't say their squad is the biggest in terms of quality. So it's going to be a massive summer for Newcastle, and they need to get it right to continue to build. Where do we get up to? Ndidi will be next. He will fit to some teams in the Premier League. I remember when Ndidi was talked about a lot, and I think he's dropped off a little bit this past year. It's a bit like Yuri Tillemans, which, again, we might talk about because obviously over the weekend, Aston Villa agreed terms with Yuri Tillemans, and I think it's a great move for both player and club. Tillemans going to Aston Villa, I think, is a great move for Villa, and I think it's a good move for Tillemans himself. But I remember when Tillemans was being talked about as joining the likes of Arsenal and joining the likes of maybe even Liverpool. And then, of course, this season, I don't think his attitude and his head has been in the right place. But maybe now that that's over, maybe he can start again with a club like Aston Villa, who, of course, themselves have European football to contend with in the form of the Europa Conference League. So that one could be very intriguing. And Ndidi, we'll wait and see with Ndidi. Like I say, he was, again, another player that was being raved about a lot when he first broke into the Leicester team and to the Premier League. So we'll see on him. Premier League fixtures out on Thursday. Live stream on a video around it by this time of 10 a.m. I reckon maybe I might just do a normal video. It's difficult with the fixtures because they're not, to me, the fixtures aren't necessarily that interesting. Every team has to play every other team. I find it sometimes weird that sometimes big games get drawn on the same weekend as each other. It makes me think that it's not necessarily completely all random. I do find it a bit weird that sometimes them kind of fixtures just get drawn together. Yeah, I'm not too interested about the Premier League fixtures, to be honest. Like I say, everyone has to play each other at some point, so it will happen. I might just do a quick scan over the fixtures, and if it's worth talking about in some cases, maybe some of the fixtures, maybe like your Luton Towns, for example, your Burnleys, the newly promoted sides, and maybe some of the bigger clashes that further down the line. Maybe if, like, on the opening day, Liverpool get Man City, or even though it's unlikely, we normally get a newly promoted team, don't we? I can guarantee you this: Liverpool will probably get Luton away from home first game of the season. That's what, if you're looking for a prediction, that's my prediction. Liverpool get Luton away from home on the first day of the season. So, not happy about that one, but it'll probably happen. James Maddison was linked with Newcastle before. He will need to play well there and help them progress. Top 6 becomes a top 7 now. Absolutely. He was linked with a number of clubs beforehand. Arsenal, Liverpool, I think Man United were even involved there. But Newcastle definitely have been a mainstay in this James Maddison saga for a while. And I've got no problems with him going to Newcastle. And I think he'll become a big success there, because I think they do need a bit more creativity in their midfield. I think he provides a bit more of an attacking intent rather than the likes of Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Willock, or whoever else is in that midfield. So I think he offers a bit more going forward. Not that the likes of Bruno Guimaraes are not creative, but he provides more of a creative threat, whereas Guimaraes can be more the guy that can sit back a little bit more and can break the lines if needs be. But Maddison, for me, will be an excellent signing. him going forward will be a brilliant signing, and him linking up the play with the likes of Almiron, St. Maximin if he's going to stay, Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson, whoever else they decide to bring in the attacking third. I think it knits it beautifully well together for Newcastle, and I think that is going to genuinely be a quality signing. Take care. Talk soon. James, St. Maximin, Almiron, they have good attacking players at Newcastle. Yeah, that's what I talked about. They've got a quality setup going on right now at Newcastle, and I think it's only going to get bigger and better. They're not obviously the finished article. I feel like the likes of St. Maximin, Almiron especially, can be upgraded upon. Maybe not upgraded upon right now. You could possibly look to do that in the coming years or so. Maybe start to rotate some of them players out, take some of them players out, and so on and so forth. But it's looking good for Newcastle right now. And like I say, you've got Eddie Howe at the helm. They've not really spent they have spent, but they've not spent the ridiculous amounts of money of like when Manchester City first won the lottery. And they were just throwing money left, right, and centre at random players, and they were trying to get they were trying to stamp their authority on the Premier League and get their or promote themselves in that sort of way, in terms of we've got money now to spend, we can get whoever we want kind of thing. They've done it smartly, they've done it greatly, and you can argue that some of the price tags that obviously the players that they have bought have gone for were some of the kind of price tags and sort of fees that they should have been paying when they were obviously under Mike Ashley beforehand. Like I say, 45 million on Anthony Gordon. Now, regardless of what you think of Anthony Gordon, personally, I don't think he's worth that much or is that good of a player. But at the same time, 45 million should be the kind of money that was spent in that Mike Ashley era. Like when you sign Nick Pope, when you sign Sven Botman. Now, maybe Botman wouldn't have joined Newcastle had obviously they kind of entered this project under Eddie Howe and obviously gone forward. But at the same time, for the fees that were being talked about, that money should have been spent under Mike Ashley. And now it's being spent under these owners that have got a lot more money than, obviously extremely a lot more money than what they have. So it does show that they have spent money, but they're only just scratching the surface of what that money can provide. And it's going to be built up. It's going to be a slowly gathering momentum kind of snowball that is going to continue to snowball going forward until the point where they can start making these marquee signings. And then you're going to see Newcastle build up their academy. You're going to see Newcastle build up their squad in terms of these players that maybe aren't everybody's first choice, or maybe they're players that have seemingly been put aside for now, or whatever the case may be. Like Maddison seems to be a player that a lot of Premier League clubs, for one reason or another, I bet they still have him on their radar, but I think maybe other Premier League clubs may have other priorities, which is why it's allowed Newcastle a bit of a free run at this Maddison deal to bring them in, to make them better, to continue to grow them and evolve them. Because remember, Maddison's only 26, so he's just about entering his prime, and he's still got several years left at the top level, at the top of his game. And so that's going to be interesting to see going forward. And then obviously they build them up until the point where their academies at a great level, their squads at a good level, and then they can start evolving that squad, bringing in some marquee names, bringing in some names of world-class quality that are there right off the bat. They don't need to make any better. They're already at a quality level. And that, for me, is going to be scary to think about going forward. And if Eddie Howe is still going to be there, then that's going to be great for English managers and English managers alike. But we'll obviously have to wait and see on that one. We'll obviously have to wait and see on that one. Talking of Tottenham, David Raya, a goalkeeper who, of course, played for Brentford, has allegedly agreed personal terms over the weekend with Spurs. This one could be intriguing to me. We obviously know that Spurs are looking for a new number one. We obviously know that Spurs are looking for a new goalkeeper. David Raya, for me, very good goalkeeper. We've seen that over the past few years with Brentford that he's really came into his own with the Bees. And I think moving to Tottenham, where there is the number one shirt pretty much available, or at least the goalkeeper starting 11 shirt pretty much available, it's a great move for him. It's a good move by Spurs. It's a smart move. It's a smart move by all things considered. Obviously, if Tottenham managed to get this deal over the line and done with. The intriguing part for me is that it's what Daniel Levy again said over the weekend. And I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, to say that previous Spurs managers weren't backed in the past is ludicrous. They were. It's just that the recruitment side of things hasn't exactly panned out the way that they expected. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing and I'm sort of just putting it in a nutshell as to what he said. But basically, he removed any of the blame from himself and put it basically on his recruitment team, on the players, and all that. And now there's a certain level of truth to it, because obviously some of the players that they have bought in recent years haven't worked out. But they went 3 transfer windows under Pochettino, where Pochettino was building something and he just needed that extra bit of a push to get them to maybe a trophy, to somewhere else that's further down the line. And they never got that because the push never came. The Tottenham board were not prepared to pull their finger out more. They weren't prepared to push the boat out a bit more. So you can tell he was wrong in that aspect. What you can tell from the recruitment side of things is that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and they're going to have to change some things. And maybe Postecoglou is going to change this club from the outside, from the inside, from just changing from the inside, basically. And maybe that might be the case. And maybe they will listen to him. And maybe he's been given certain promises and he's made certain demands that Tottenham will give him. Only time will tell on that one. But it's also what he went on to say about how maybe they'll have to start looking at their academy. Now, of course, Harry Kane has come through their academy and has been an absolute star for them. Obviously, going back many, many years now. The youngsters come through the Tottenham academy since then haven't exactly set the world alight. And what I got from those kinds of quotes and statements is that the money won't be there for Postecoglou to change this club or just the squad in general. He'll have to either sell players to buy, or he'll have to make do with what he's got. That's the kind of gist I got from it anyway. I'd be worried if I was a Tottenham fan. Like I say, this guy, Postecoglou, and I won't go too much over it in detail again. You can go back and watch my videos on Postecoglou and the appointment of him as Spurs manager in the past. But to basically just wrap it up, my thoughts on him is that he looks a good manager. He carries himself well. He seems motivated and he's done well wherever he's been, whether it be in Australia, whether it be in Japan, whether it be in Scotland. I get that. He plays a nice brand of attractive football. I also get that. And I get that that is the main basis of pretty much any club, but especially for a Spurs club that obviously haven't won anything in a number of years and obviously had to watch Pochettino's Spurs play some great football. And they enjoyed that, and they wish that, and that's what made Pochettino a great favourite, along with obviously getting them to a Champions League final, second place finish, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. And I'm not saying it's going to be a complete disaster. He's the right, he looks like he's got the right CV and the right fit to be Tottenham manager. My overall issue with him wasn't even necessarily about him. It was about the club. It was about how the club are going to treat him. Are they going to give him the players he wants? Are they going to give him the funds and the resources to succeed? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? Because if they couldn't do it when they had world-class managers like Mourinho, like Conte, how are they going to do it with a manager that isn't world-class, hasn't had as big of an opportunity as this to showcase what he can do on a bigger stage, because the Premier League is a much bigger stage than the Scottish League, then the Japanese League, then in Australia. How is he going to express himself? How is he going to get better? How is he going to do this? How is he going to do that with a club like Spurs that has been run so poorly in recent years? How is he going to succeed? And because Spurs fans don't, let me say how to word this. And because some fans may be a bit reactive, they may see it as get the manager out rather than continue to try and get the owners out. Because at the end of the day, the common factor in all of these managers that have tried and failed at Spurs down the years has been the ownership, the people in power, all of them people in the board positions. Postecoglou could be being set up to fail instantly. And judging by those comments by Daniel Levy over the weekend, it looks like he's not going to have a great deal of room to maneuver and to change this squad. We'll obviously have to wait and see, but that's just the kind of gist that I got from what he was saying. In my opinion, I think David Raya is a quality signing. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I think that he's done very well with Brentford. You bring in a goalkeeper of quality, Premier League experience. It's all seemingly fitting right now for David Raya to obviously jump ship to another Premier League club and to Spurs that are going to be in need of a rebuild. It's going to be very intriguing for him. It's going to be very intriguing for Postecoglou to see what he can do. But I think a goalkeeper is a very good start for him. And obviously, we remain to be seen what happens going forward with Tottenham Hotspur. But a very good start. Postecoglou's made a very good acquisition. There are other rumours going around. Obviously, like I say, they were seemingly involved for Maddison, but it doesn't, again, seem like the money is going to be available. And for 50-odd million, we know that Levy was going to haggle anyway, regardless. And I think he's been put off by the fact that Leicester have been relegated, which again shows you that he doesn't really understand or know football, if that is to be the case, obviously. Yeah, so it seems like they were interested in Maddison. Whether or not that money is just going to be used to be spent elsewhere or not remains to be seen. Maybe they've got other plans for a quantity of players rather than a quality. We'll have to wait and see on that one. There was also the links to Harry Maguire. Those haven't gone away. Again, I'll reiterate what I said in my video. If Postecoglou is going to be playing his usual brand of football, which is more open and attacking and a bit more on the front foot, Harry Maguire is not the right fit. He definitely isn't the right fit. He's the right fit for like a Aston Villa or an Everton or a West Ham, but he's not the right fit for a Tottenham side that may be looking to play more on the front foot, more attacking football. You play him in that attacking lineup, you play him on the halfway line, and especially if you play him in a 2 alongside the hot-headed and rash Christian Romero, it's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see on that one whether there is truth to those links or not, and what the future holds for Tottenham and for Harry Maguire. But just on the David Raya one, once again, I think it's a very good acquisition. I think it's a very good move by Tottenham to acquire a goalkeeper of his quality. And of course, he can build up the squad. It's a very good starting piece to have, but they need to build upon it. And for David Raya, stays in the Premier League, good move away. Or should I say a solid move away, should I say, for right now, for what we can sort of predict with Spurs. We'll have to just wait and see, obviously, if that pans out the way people are expecting. Last talking point today, for right now at least, Liverpool. Benjamin Pavard has been linked with the Reds across the weekend. Allegedly, Liverpool have made their interest known. They have allegedly opened talks with the French centre-back. Again, it's another one that we talked about in a previous video as well. And Pavard is seemingly on the look for a move away from Bayern Munich this summer. There have been talks and rumours and whispers and reports suggesting that Pavard is looking for a new challenge elsewhere. He's looking to challenge himself in other leagues away from Bayern Munich. And he's looking specifically at the Italian league. He's looking specifically at the Spanish league and the Premier League as potential destinations for his future football. Liverpool, obviously, with their change in tactics, with their change in style, with their change in formation, with a little bit of adjusting, with obviously moving Trent into more of a midfield role, obviously are on the lookout for players to adjust to that kind of formation, adjust to that role. And a centre-back is definitely an option. And I think Fabrizio Romano's he definitely put out a tweet today saying that Liverpool are on the lookout to improve their defensive areas. There is also speculation revolving around the likes of Joel Matip and Joe Gomez. Maybe they could be on the move this summer. We'll obviously have to wait and see on those two. Maybe their time has come up at Liverpool. Pavard for me will be intriguing because I like the idea of Pavard coming into this side. Not only will he provide cover at that right back situation for if obviously the time does come for Liverpool to revert back to a 4 at the back, depending on the situation and the game at hand, provides cover at right back, is obviously mainly being played at Bayern as a right centre back, so he does have experience and that versatility there of being both. To me, it's a smart deal. It would be a smart deal. And especially when you hear the kind of other kind of information in regards to this potential transfer. Pavard only has 1 year left on his current deal. The fee could reportedly be in for about 30 to 35 million pounds. Bayern may be looking elsewhere at other targets to either A, replace him, or to B, raise the funds for other targets that they have. For me, Pavard would be a smart move. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this. Romano did go on to say that Liverpool are also looking for a centre-back that is left-footed, and instantly what springs to mind is Guardiola. But whether or not Liverpool can afford him or not remains to be seen. There could be other options out there for the Reds to play. I think they're looking more towards maybe a backup for Van Dijk, who obviously has struggled a bit this season. Maybe that was in terms of playing time or whatever the case may be with Van Dijk. We'll have to wait and see if maybe his best years are behind him and so forth. Mina Mango, hey mate, how you doing? Nice of you to come along. Obviously coming into this one. We talked about James Maddison. We talked about Tottenham, David Raya, Daniel Levy, all that good stuff. And now we're just talking about Benjamin Pavard, Liverpool, and Liverpool's pursuit of a centre-back overall. So if you have any thoughts on that, mate, would be appreciated. If you wanted to get involved or anything else you want to get involved on, do let us know. But welcome along anyway. Pavard to Liverpool. Like I say, I think covers a couple of positions that would be good. Covers that centre-back position. Covers a potential right-back position should obviously the game call for it. Covers Trent. Covers Konate. Obviously, I know that Konate had a few injury issues over the past couple of years that are a little bit concerning as of right now because he's a quality defender in my opinion, but obviously the injuries are starting to mount up a little bit. But it will be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Liverpool have got a lot of plates spinning right now in terms of targets. Midfield, obviously, is the main priority. And then it seems like they're going to be moving on to defenders. And then after that, it might be pretty much essentially business done. And they're only going to go out and look for something else if obviously the opportunity does arise. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. And we'll have to wait and see on the saga of Benjamin Pavard, because for a defender of his quality and his versatility, I think there'll be a lot of interest in him, and I can't see it just solely being Liverpool. And we have talked about it before, where there has been a number of teams rumoured to be interested in this guy. So we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for Benjamin Pavard, and obviously how Liverpool decide to go about addressing that centre-back area, which needs to be addressed because obviously the change in formation, the change in style and everything, and obviously with Andy Robertson having to adjust his position to be a bit more central, we'll have to wait and see on all of that. James Maddison to Newcastle is really close. Yeah, again, I'll go back over it just because you've joined us when you have. Maddison to Newcastle is rumoured to be really close. The personal terms are seemingly agreed. Newcastle are seemingly also prepared to pay the fee that Leicester are looking for the sale of this player. For me, it's a quality signing. For me, it's an absolute quality signing for Newcastle in terms of adding creativity, in terms of adding a good set piece taker, in terms of adding goals from midfield. This guy is certainly a very, very good player to have within your mix. And obviously with a Newcastle side that are looking to beef up their squad a little bit ahead of next season, where it's going to be another big season for them as they continue to progress with this project that they're under, with the obvious Saudi ownership and everything. And of course, with Champions League football on the agenda for the next campaign as well. Adding Maddison in with Premier League experience, with a lot of creativity under his belt, with a lot of good technical ability, good passing, good playmaking, good ball carrying, good midfield work engine, good set piece taking. It's a quality addition to that Newcastle side, in my opinion. And to see him working and connecting and linking up, shall we say, with the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, the workhorse in Joe Linton, the creative and pacey outlets of the likes of Alex Saint-Maximin and Alexander Isak, and obviously Miguel Almiron, and of course Callum Wilson up front. If he can stay fit as well, I would predict that Callum Wilson will get a lot of goals just from Maddison's assist alone. So I think it's a very, very good signing as far as what Newcastle are concerned. And obviously they're going to have a very interesting summer going forward, because I imagine this is just going to be the beginning of Newcastle building up their squad. Newcastle will look for at least 2 midfielders this summer and a striker to support Isak as well, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Callum Wilson's not getting any younger and he definitely is upgradable, so I can see that happening. Isak's obviously had a very good start to his Newcastle career, moving out from striker to left wing, but still managing to get double figures in terms of goals this season is very good for a player that I thought might take a little bit longer to sort of adjust to Newcastle and adjust to the physicality of the Premier League, but so far so good for him. Beefing up their midfield is obviously a smart move. There does seem a little bit of Newcastle that Joe Linton does pick up a lot of yellow cards, so he could be missing for a few games here and there. You've got Bruno Guimaraes, who is absolute quality in my opinion, and is such a fantastic player that I love and admire him from afar. But it does seem like obviously he may need a rest at some point, and obviously there's the possibility of injuries and suspensions and stuff which may take him out the fray a little bit, and then it's a little bit of a drop off from there. Obviously Joe Willock he's continued to, I think, improve this season, and I think he's been a good stand-in for Newcastle going forward. But again, these sorts of players, the likes of you, Joe Willocks, Miguel Almiron, Saint-Maximins, they are upgradable. whether or not that is going to be for the here and now upgradable, or whether that's going to be for the time for a later period down the line. We'll have to wait and see. Isak is a injury-prone player. That's why they need support striker better than Wilson. Yeah, I think he suffered a little bit earlier on in the season, didn't he? I think he suffered a little bit with a couple of injuries here and there, but I think from maybe, was it around about February time onwards, I think he really started to come into his own, and I think he got back on track, so to speak. Wilson is injury prone himself, but again, if you can keep Wilson fit, he is a pretty good finisher. Like, his stats back that up this season. I know that he got a fair few from the penalty spot, but at the same time, you still need those goals still count. He is upgradable though. That's what I'm saying. He is upgradable, but at the same time, I feel like keep them both fit. And I think with Maddison as the main creative outlet, there could be a few more goals coming through at Newcastle this season. And their defense is already pretty solid. So if their defense is already solid and they're going to add more firepower to their attack in terms of James Maddison, a big creative outlet, and as well scores some big goals at that from midfield, Newcastle are going to be laughing next season, and they're going to enjoy every single minute of whether it's Premier League or Champions League football for next season. Which club do you support, by the way? I'm a Liverpool fan, mate. I'm a Liverpool fan. But I just love talking about football in general, and I just love talking Premier League especially. That's my main focus on this channel. So, yeah, do appreciate getting involved. Do appreciate the viewership. So thank you very much for that. And, yeah, Liverpool fan, like I say, sort of looking for next season. Going to be interesting. Do you think Harry Kane will join Manchester United this summer? I feel like this is his last chance. I feel like if he wants to go and have the potential to win something. Now, joining Manchester United doesn't guarantee you trophies. There's still a few question marks over Manchester United in terms of, obviously, the ownership, whether Erik ten Hag is going to be sustainable, whether or not things are going to continue in this upwards trajectory for Manchester United that, of course, they began on since Erik ten Hag took over. I get that. But there's more of a chance of him winning something at Manchester United than there is Tottenham. For me, football can move on very quickly. I don't see a decline in Harry Kane coming in the next couple of years, maybe. But at the same time, I do think with the way that football does move quickly, does grow, does evolve, you never know when it could be your last chance to move. And I feel like with Kane, it might be his last chance to move away from Spurs and maybe try and guarantee some sort of trophy before his career ends. It'll be great for him to go on and break Shearer's record, which, he seemingly is on track to do, barring any sort of major injuries or anything of that nature. But at the same time, that's, in my opinion, is not going to be enough to make him a great in the game. He needs to add trophies to his collection. Whether he has to go abroad to do that or whether he has to go to Manchester United to do that, he has to go and win trophies for him to be known as a great footballer. Manchester United is the perfect fit for him. Real Madrid will obviously guarantee him a few trophies between now and the end of his career. Bayern Munich will obviously guarantee him trophies between now and the end of his career. So going abroad will guarantee him trophies. Going to Manchester United will not be as much of a guarantee, but I think he'll be a perfect fit in that Erik ten Hag system for what United and Ten Hag are looking for. So we'll have to wait and see. He wants to leave, but Levy wants to keep him. Yeah, typical Daniel Levy. I'm a bit surprised, really, because everyone goes on about how Levy is a quality businessman and everything, cashing in on Kane now and using that money to reinvest in the squad might be a better option for Spurs going forward, especially when you consider what Levy said over the weekend in terms of Tottenham's recruitment not being that great in recent years. Their new additions and new signings not quite working out as planned. and all that stuff, and how maybe they have to maybe start looking at their academy more and more. Maybe cashing in on Kane may be the better option when in comparison to that. He has to force the move if he has any ambition to win something or be at a better club. He wants to break Premier League goal scoring record. Yeah, that's, again, it's not enough in my opinion for him to be a great, like, breaking the goal scoring record would be fantastic achievement in itself. But for me, individual achievements mean nothing if your team isn't winning trophies. Your team has to win trophies for your individual achievements, in my opinion, to mean something, because at the end of the day, it is a team game. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. And if your team isn't winning the trophies that you desire, isn't winning Premier Leagues, FA Cups, Champions Leagues, even League Cups, then what's the point? You might as well go and play a single player sport. You might as well go and play golf, or you might as well go and play tennis, or whatever the case may be. Because if you want to be an individual, go and play one of them sports. But this is a team game in which you need to win trophies to cement your legacy and cement your place in history. Individual achievements for me won't be enough, because he can score as many goals as he wants. They'll have meant nothing. They'll have meant nothing in terms of his side getting something. If he stays at Spurs, great. He'll get as many signings as he'll get as many goals as he wants. He'll get a statue outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He'll be a Premier League legend in that way, but he won't be a Premier League legend in terms of silverware, because he'll always have that over him. He'll always have that shadow over him of what could have been had he gone somewhere else. What could have been had he have gone to another club and won some trophies and made himself a proper great within this game. Look at Steven Gerrard as a prime example. Gerrard, in my opinion, best midfielder, one of the best midfielder that I've seen play. He gets ridiculed by rival fans for not winning a Premier League. He's won everything else in his career, and a lot of players don't get that, where they win a lot of trophies. He's won everything else in his career, barring a Premier League title, and he still gets ridiculed by fans for not winning that Premier League title. Kane doesn't even have a League Cup to his name. He's got a runners-up medal. He's got an Audi Cup. It means nothing, though. And to me, like I say, I think this is his last chance. I think he has to move this season. Obviously, I know that his contract does expire next season, and I know that he will leave on a free. But a lot can change in the next year, and maybe he would just find himself re-signing with Spurs. We'll obviously have to wait and see on that one, but a lot can change within the next year or so. Does that mean that maybe him getting a year older may put off potential people? We'll obviously have to wait and see. Do you think Liverpool will sign Caicedo or Arsenal? Liverpool won't. Liverpool will not sign him, simply for the reason that money-wise, I don't think Caicedo is affordable. If we're not going to be signing Bellingham or if we backed out of the Bellingham deal when we heard it was going to be like 125 or 135 million, Brighton signing him on and making his price tag something in the region of 85 to 100 million, I don't see happening. I think he'd be a quality player, and I think he's the sort of player that we need, but I think Liverpool have got other irons in the fire, so to speak, and I think that Liverpool have got other kind of targets that are cheaper, more affordable, and ones that are more gambles, I would say, but at the same time, they look promising. So I don't think Liverpool will sign him. As far as Arsenal goes, I think their main priority is Declan Rice. I don't see them getting both Rice and Caicedo, but Chelsea, on the other hand, might take advantage of that. And I feel like Caicedo to Chelsea will be an absolute beast, an absolute monster under Pochettino and with the way that Pochettino likes to play. So I think that will be a perfect Chelsea signing, in my opinion, for Moises Caicedo. But of course, we have to wait and see on that one. Kane has more of a chance of winning a trophy with Leicester next season in the Championship instead of staying in Tottenham. I think you put Harry Kane in any Championship squad, I think he's going to win the Championship with them. So, and that's not a dig at the Championship, by the way. That's just the amount of quality that I think Kane has. Championship is going to be interesting though next season. Championship's going to be very intriguing next season. It's a very underrated league in my opinion, and there's a lot of good teams down there, and it's going to be a massive dogfight, I think, and it's going to be very intriguing to watch. So do keep an eye out for the Championship. And very intriguing. But yeah, Kane, last chance for Kane, in my opinion, to properly make it big. Because, like I say, a lot can happen in the next year. Maybe United fall off. Maybe United look elsewhere for a new player. Maybe they get a quality striker this season that takes the Premier League by the scruff of the neck. Not maybe in a similar way to Haaland, because obviously Haaland's an alien, but maybe they get a striker that goes on to score plenty of goals this season and becomes a mainstay and obviously cannot be removed from that Manchester United squad. Maybe something else happens, that maybe a big injury happens for Kane that obviously puts him off. There's a lot that can happen in football. There's a lot that can happen. Do you think Sancho should leave Man United for the first time, for the first team playing? Sorry, I'm a bit stupid. Do you think Sancho should leave Man U for the first team playing time with Tottenham? I saw these Sancho links to Tottenham. I think a move away could do him the world of good. And I say that because it hasn't lived up to obviously expectation. Now, I know that he's had a few managers that he's played under and he's had to do a few different things under those managers. I think for me, a move away for Jadon Sancho will do him the world of good. Is Spurs that right move? It could be. I feel like no team really plays defensively against Spurs anymore. No one's necessarily scared of Spurs. They have one player that everybody's scared of, and that, of course, is Harry Kane. Sancho, for me, is better when teams are playing further forward, trying to attack, because then he doesn't have the most explosive pace in the world, but he is still quick enough that you play a long ball in behind and he's got grass to run into, he will run into that space. Sancho's not explosive enough where you can take on a man. Sancho at times is too safe, but maybe going to a club like Spurs, a little bit less expectation, a little bit less demand than Manchester United, obviously. It might take that weight off his shoulders a little bit, and we might start seeing the better Jadon Sancho that we haven't seen in years. Obviously, like I say, his move from Dortmund didn't work out as what a lot of people are expecting. I think a move away could do him the world of good. What we've seen from Sancho in recent times is just a player who is short of confidence, a player whose ability is maybe not being put to the best of usage, a player who is just nowhere near what we saw of him when he was lighting up the Bundesliga. And maybe part of that is to do with the fact that the Bundesliga is a lot different to the Premier League. But what we are seeing right now is just Sancho, who is a shadow of his former self. And I think a move away could do him the world of good. Would that move be better at Tottenham? It remains to be seen, because there's a question mark over, is he more of a traditional winger? So he's more right-footed. Is he better on the right wing? Is he better on the left wing? Could he even be modified to a number 10 position? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure on what the future would hold for Sancho. Give us Kane and take Sancho. I'm assuming you're a Manchester United fan then, my dude. Fair enough. Like I say, it could happen. Money plus player for Kane. It could be a very intriguing deal if that was to obviously go ahead. Erik ten Hag has played Sancho in easy games in which Man U have 70% possession. Yeah, like I say, there's just something not quite right with Sancho. And you saw that in the final. I think that for a lot of United fans was maybe the final straw. When you see that Sancho for 70 minutes or so did absolutely nothing. And Garnacho instantly comes on and he instantly springs new life into that attack. I think that was probably the final straw for a lot of United fans. And I think for Erik ten Hag, I think that may be a bit of an eye-opener as well. That maybe next season, Garnacho is the way forward. Still, he's not the same player after the 2-month break he had. He's not been the same player. I think he started off the season pretty well for United. But yeah, I think he had a bit of a break, didn't he? And then just hasn't got back to being his usual self. So we'll have to wait and see on Sancho. I think his final days in the United shirt should be over right now, and I think that he should be on the move this summer. And I don't think it's just solely for United to move him on. I think it is also for him to move on. It's a clean slate, new start. I think it would do him the world of good. Do you think Núñez will be a good signing? I'm assuming you're talking about Darwin Núñez there. Núñez for Liverpool. I think he's had a bit of a challenging start, shall we say. But I like what he brings to the side. My only issue with him is that I got a couple of issues with him. The first one is his first touch. He needs to work on his first touch because that guy's got a bit of Lukaku syndrome. Like, his first touch can sometimes be good, and then other times it can be absolutely atrocious. So he needs to definitely work on his first touch. And the second one I have about him is I feel like he's a bit more of a situational player. I feel like he's not going to be the kind of guy to bring on when your team is facing a side that's got 10, 11 men behind the ball. He's going to be a guy to play against. He's going to be a player to bring on when you're against teams that want to be on the front foot. They want to be challenging the opposition. They want to be pressing the opposition. They want to do a counter press kind of thing. And then you obviously have the creative outlets of the likes of a Thiago, a Trent Alexander-Arnold, even Alexis McAllister, now that we've brought him in, to just launch the ball over the top and go on, run, go on, absolutely leg it. I see his potential. I see his ability. I like him a lot as a player. I think his composure will come with time. I think we are. I know a lot of Liverpool fans have said this, but I think we are seeing a bit of a mirror image of his first season with Benfica. And the hope, obviously, then is he continues to grow and evolve as a player. I think he was putting a bit too much pressure on himself to succeed at a club of Liverpool's stature and everything. And I think, especially given the fact that obviously Liverpool as a unit and as a club and as a squad were not performing to the expectation that we've seen or to the level that we've seen of them in the past few years, didn't necessarily help him. But I feel like with a change in formation, with a change in maybe a role, maybe a change in tactic, maybe a change in the position, because obviously he was brought in mainly as a striker and he's modified to a more left wing position. I feel like maybe there is still a spot for him at this club and maybe he can continue to obviously get better. I feel like all the little things that I've talked about can be improved upon. Like I say, his first touch definitely needs to be improved upon. And from there, composure-wise, needs to be improved upon. And I think, like I say, I think he may have to just get used to, maybe for the time being at least, being a situational player rather than a main team star. I still think the likes of Diaz coming back from injury and obviously ready and fit and firing for next season may hold him. Jota obviously being on fire towards the back end of the season. Mo Salah obviously being Mohamed Salah is probably the way to go forward. Cody Gakpo obviously coming in and improving that kind of position. And for me, in some cases, being a slight improvement on Firmino is obviously something to look at as well. There's a lot of options there for Liverpool, and I feel like it's going to be very intriguing for them going forward in that attacking aspect. We'll have to just wait and see which kind of combination Klopp wants to play. Who do you want Liverpool to sign next after McAllister? Khéphren Thuram. I made a video on him a few days ago. He looks very exciting and very intriguing, and as a way to continue to bolster and beef up that midfield, he is definitely one to look out for, and one that I'm looking forward to seeing if obviously Liverpool can get the deal done for him. Manu Kone is another one that looks intriguing. Whether Liverpool can get both or whether it's going to be a case of one or the other remains to be seen as well. That could be intriguing. I've already talked about Benjamin Pavard a couple of times in this video alone, especially. So midfield and defence is something that we need to look out on. Goalkeeping situation, I'm pretty confident with that one. I'm a little bit concerned that obviously Kelleher seems to maybe be on the way out this summer, but maybe it is the right time maybe to cash in on him, and maybe it is the right time for himself to move on. I say in the attacking third, unless someone does become available of genuine, real quality, I think the attacking third is fine. It's mainly the midfield and defence that we need to work on, but we'll wait and see. Take care, mate. See you soon. Thank you, mate. I appreciate you coming along and I appreciate you interacting. So thank you very much for doing that. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you again on this channel very soon, whether it's in a video or live stream that I do. So thank you very much for interacting. Appreciate it, my dude. Take care. Hope you have a great day on this very, very warm, very, very hot Monday morning. It's Jesus, it's roasting. I think I'm done. We've covered a lot, but the main, obviously, point of this video, point of this live stream, was to talk about James Maddison. It was to talk about his move to Newcastle United getting closer. Like I say, in my opinion, it's a quality signing for Newcastle United, and I think it's a fantastic move for James Maddison to obtain right now. Very intrigued to see how Newcastle continue to progress, how they do in the Champions League next season, how Eddie Howe continues to grow as a manager and with this team as well. Very intrigued by all of this. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think of James Maddison's move to Newcastle United, edging ever closer, it seems? I'd love to know what you guys think, you feel, your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to talk about in the comment section on this, about that particular news story, about anything that I've covered in this hour-long live stream, which has been pretty good live stream, to be fair, with a fair bit of interaction from a couple of people. So thank you all so much for watching and listening. Hit a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I will see you all again soon in another video or live stream.